Mythical origins. The story of the Deathly Hallows begins with the tale of the three brothers, a wizarding legend recorded in the tales of Beedle the Bard. According to the story, three brothers from the Peveril family once came to a river too dangerous to cross. Instead of drowning, they conjured a bridge with their magic. Death felt cheated of three victims and appeared before them. Rather than punishing them, he pretended to congratulate their cleverness and offered each a gift. The eldest brother, Antioch Peveril, asked for a wand more powerful than any other. Death created the Elder Wand, carved from elder wood with a core of thestral hair. This wand could supposedly never be beaten in a duel. Antioch took it, confident it made him invincible. The second brother, Cadmus Peveril, asked for a way to bring back someone he loved from the dead. Death picked up a stone from the riverbank and gave it to him. This was the Resurrection Stone, which could call back the shades of the dead. These returned figures were not truly alive, but rather echoes of their former selves. The third brother, Ignotus Peveril, asked for a way to escape death entirely. Death handed him his own cloak of invisibility. With it, Ignotus could hide from death and live a full life free from pursuit. The tale ends with sorrow for the first two brothers. Antioch boasted about his wand's power, but while he slept, another wizard stole it and ended his life. Cadmus, overcome with grief, turned away from the world of the living after seeing his beloved so changed. Only Ignotus lived to an old age, removing his cloak when the time came and greeting death willingly as an old friend. The legend claims that whoever unites the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Invisibility Cloak becomes the master of death, holding dominion over life itself. Historical reality. Although the story describes Death personally creating the Hallows, Albus Dumbledore offered a more grounded interpretation. He explained that the Peveril brothers were not literally recipients of gifts from Death, but instead exceptionally skilled wizards who invented three powerful magical objects. The legend of Death's involvement likely grew over time as a way to dramatize their extraordinary abilities. Each Hallows' qualities support this interpretation. The Elder Wand, while extraordinarily powerful, still functions like any wand and can be passed through defeat in combat. The Resurrection Stone behaves like other enchanted artifacts by binding a magical effect to a physical object, though its ability is unique. The Invisibility Cloak, unlike other cloaks that wear out or only partially conceal, is unusually perfect and enduring because it was crafted with rare advanced magic. The wizarding world preserved the tale as myth, but traces of the Hallows remained in history. The Peveril name appears in old records, including on a gravestone in Godric's Hollow, confirming their existence as real people. The Hallows' passage through time, often hidden within family lines or emerging in the possession of dark wizards, supports the view that these were human creations rather than supernatural gifts. The Elder Wand's bloody history. The Elder Wand was first wielded by Antioch Peveril, but it left the family immediately after his death. Antioch was murdered in his sleep by another wizard who wanted the wand for himself. Because wands transfer allegiance when their masters are defeated or killed, the killer became the rightful owner. This set a precedent. The Elder Wand's ownership would almost always change hands through violence. Over the centuries, the Elder Wand gained a reputation as the most dangerous wand in existence. Historical records list several of its wielders. Emeric the Evil, a fearsome sorcerer in medieval England, used it for conquest before being killed in a duel by Egbert the Egregious. Later, a dark wizard named Godelot studied the wand and used it to compose Magic Mosta Evil, one of the earliest guides to the dark arts. His son, Hereward, locked him in an attic to die in order to claim the wand. In the 18th century, Barnabas Deverell became infamous for his reign of terror using the Elder Wand, before being slain by Loxias, who then renamed it the Death Stick. By the late 19th century, the wand was in the possession of the wand maker Grigorovich. He studied it to try and replicate its power, but failed. A young Gellert Grindelwald stole it directly from Grigorovich's workshop, becoming its master. Grindelwald then began his rise to power, using the wand in duels and battles as he sought wizarding domination. Albus Dumbledore eventually confronted Grindelwald in a duel that became one of the most famous in magical history. Dumbledore defeated him, gaining mastery of the Elder Wand. For decades afterward, Dumbledore wielded it but resisted abusing its power, although he admitted to Harry later that the temptation was always present. The Elder Wand's allegiance shifted again at the end of Dumbledore's life. Draco Malfoy disarmed Dumbledore during the confrontation at the Astronomy Tower, unintentionally becoming its master. When Harry later defeated Draco, the wand's loyalty passed to him. Voldemort, unaware of this transfer, stole the wand from Dumbledore's tomb and attempted to use it, but the wand refused to kill its true master. In their final battle, the Elder Wand's spell rebounded and destroyed Voldemort. After the war, Harry used the Elder Wand's unmatched power once, repairing his own broken wand. He then destroyed the Elder Wand to end its bloody history and prevent anyone else from seeking it. The Resurrection Stone's journey. Cadmus used the stone to summon the woman he loved, but she returned as a sorrowful, ghost-like figure. Unable to bear the divide between them, Cadmus eventually chose to leave the living world behind. After his passing, the stone remained in the Peveril family line as an heirloom. Over time, the stone was set into a ring. This ring was passed down through generations until it came into the possession of the Gaunt family, direct descendants of Cadmus Peveril. The Gaunts were poor, but they treasured the ring as proof of their pure-blood heritage. By this stage, the family no longer remembered the true magical properties of the stone. Marvolo Gaunt eventually gave the ring to his son Morphin. When Tom Riddle visited the Gaunt home as a teenager, he murdered his father and grandparents, then stole the ring from Morphin. By then calling himself Lord Voldemort, he turned the ring into one of his Horcruxes, embedding a fragment of his soul inside it. To protect the Horcrux, he placed powerful curses and enchantments around it and hid it in the Gaunt Shack. Albus Dumbledore later discovered the ring while investigating Voldemort's Horcruxes. Realizing it contained the Resurrection Stone, Dumbledore's old fascination with the Hallows overcame his caution. He placed the ring on his finger, forgetting it was also cursed. The curse spread quickly through his hand and would have killed him within hours, if not slowed by Severus Snape. Even so, Dumbledore was left with only a year to live. Before his death, Dumbledore destroyed the Horcrux within the ring using the Sword of Gryffindor. He then hid the Resurrection Stone inside the first golden snitch Harry Potter ever caught, leaving it to Harry in his will. The snitch bore the inscription, "I open at the close." During the Battle of Hogwarts, Harry realized the clue meant the snitch would open when he accepted his own death. As he prepared to face Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest, he spoke the words, and the snitch revealed the stone. Harry used it to summon the shades of his parents, Sirius Black and Remus Lupin, for comfort before walking to his fate. Afterward, he dropped the stone in the forest, where it was trampled into the earth by centaurs during the battle and lost forever. The Invisibility Cloak's lineage. The Invisibility Cloak was the gift given to Ignotus Peveril. Unlike the Elder Wand and the Resurrection Stone, which led to the destruction of their original owners, the cloak fulfilled its purpose perfectly. It allowed Ignotus to live a long life hidden from death until he chose to meet it willingly. When his time came, he removed the cloak, passed it to his son, and greeted death as an equal. The cloak remained in the Peveril family line for many generations. Eventually, the male heirs of Ignotus died out, and the cloak was passed through daughters until it entered the Potter family by marriage. Hardwin Potter married Iolanthe Peveril, and from that point, the cloak became a treasured Potter heirloom. By the 20th century, the cloak had been inherited by Fleamont Potter and then his son, James Potter. James used it frequently during his time at Hogwarts, both for mischief and for concealment. Albus Dumbledore, recognizing the cloak's unusual perfection, asked to examine it, confirming to himself that it was one of the Deathly Hallows. After James Potter's death in 1981, Dumbledore kept the cloak in his possession. 10 years later, when James's son Harry came to Hogwarts, Dumbledore returned the cloak to him anonymously as a Christmas gift. From that point on, Harry used the cloak throughout his time at school, whether sneaking into the restricted section, escaping detection, or exploring Hogwarts. The cloak proved invaluable in many critical moments. Harry used it to survive encounters with Snape, Umbridge, and Death Eaters. During the Battle of Hogwarts, it helped him evade enemies and walk unnoticed to the Forbidden Forest to face Voldemort. Unlike the Elder Wand and Resurrection Stone, the cloak never failed its purpose and never harmed its user. After the war, the cloak remained in Harry's possession. Unlike the other Hallows, it was neither destroyed nor lost. Harry eventually passed it down to his children, ensuring it remained a family heirloom in the Potter line, just as Ignotus had intended. Connections between families. The Deathly Hallows did more than shape wizarding history through power and legend. They also revealed hidden connections between the central figures of the story. Both Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort descended from the Peveril brothers, meaning they were distant relatives. Harry was a descendant of Ignotus Peveril, the original owner of the Invisibility Cloak. The cloak passed through Ignotus's heirs for centuries until it reached the Potter family. Voldemort was a descendant of Cadmus Peveril through the Gaunt family. This bloodline connection showed that Harry and Voldemort were linked not only by prophecy, but also by ancestry. The rivalry between them was a continuation of the Peveril legacy. Two branches of the same family, one tied to humility and survival, the other to arrogance and destruction. The symbolism of the brothers echoed in the lives of the story's key characters. Voldemort mirrored Antioch Peveril, destroyed by his hunger for power. Severus Snape reflected Cadmus, consumed by love and loss. Harry embodied Ignotus, who accepted mortality and used his gift wisely. Together, these parallels reinforce the idea that the Deathly Hallows were not just objects, but lessons in how wizards chose to confront life and death. Why Harry survived the forest. A popular belief is that Harry Potter survived Voldemort's killing curse in the Forbidden Forest because he had united the three Deathly Hallows, making him the so-called Master of Death. This interpretation fits the legend, but it is not the real explanation given in the books. The true reason Harry lived was the continuing power of his mother's sacrifice. When Lily Potter gave her life to protect her son, she created an ancient magical shield that prevented Voldemort from killing him outright. This protection resided in Harry's blood as long as he lived under the care of Petunia Dursley, Lily's sister, who shared her bloodline. By the time Harry turned 17, the spell should have ended, but Voldemort's own actions extended it. When he used Harry's blood in the ritual that restored his body during the events of the Goblet of Fire, Voldemort unintentionally anchored Lily's protection inside himself. Dumbledore explained that as long as Voldemort carried Harry's blood within his veins, Harry's life could not be completely taken from him. This meant that when Voldemort struck Harry with the killing curse in the forest, the spell destroyed the fragment of Voldemort's soul inside Harry rather than Harry himself. Harry entered a limbo-like state where he met Dumbledore at King's Cross before returning to life. Therefore, Harry's survival was not due to mastery of the Hallows, but to the unique continuation of Lily's enchantment. Voldemort's arrogance in using Harry's blood bound their fates together in a way he never understood, ensuring that Harry would endure the curse meant to kill him. The final fate of the Hallows. By the end of the Second Wizarding War, each of the three Hallows reached a final resting point that reflected its nature. The Deathly Hallows, once united, were separated once more. One was lost, one was inherited, and one was destroyed. Their stories closed with Harry's choice to reject their combined power, showing that true mastery of death came not from possession of magical objects, but from accepting mortality itself. But the story of the Hallows is only one chapter in the wizarding world's struggle with power, death, and destiny. Beyond these three objects, the entire wizarding community was torn apart by conflict not once, but three separate times. To see how those wars began, unfolded, and reshaped the magical world, watch this next video on all three wizarding wars explained in detail.